Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, building under construction collapses in Gwarimpa area of the federal capital. Rescue efforts to rescue 2 people trapped under the rubble continues. Human rights lawyer Ken Swaswete dies in suspicious circumstances after his abduction in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Militant group Niger Delta Avengers announces a halt to attacks on oil infrastructure in the region, expresses willingness to dialogue with the federal government. Gabonese opposition candidate Jean Ping asked President Ali Bongo to accept defeat in the country's presidential election.
On Business News tonight, the Bureau for Public Procurement plans first stage of electronic procurement, beginning with 6 ministries.
And on Sports News tonight, Team Nigeria names 23 athletes for 2016 Paralympic Games in Rio.
From Abuja, I'm Gloria Umezuke. Federal High Court in Abuja declines bail hearing for Islamic Movement of Nigeria's leader, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zazaki.
We begin tonight with the story of a building that collapsed in the early hours of today in Abuja, where 2 people are said to be trapped in the rubble in the Gwarimpa district of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. 6 people were earlier rescued from the site of the collapsed building, though. Work is still ongoing as the Director General of the FCT Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Abbas Idris, believes that the 2 persons are still alive. The acting coordinator of the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, Hajia Safiyat Umar, explains that the building was standing on a floodplain.
Man and machine work in synergy and urgency. 2 people are said to be trapped under this pile of concrete and iron rods. This is all that is remaining of a 4-story building that came down, shattering the peace in this quiet neighborhood of Gwarimpa Estate. Abbas Idris is coordinating the rescue effort.
The remaining 2 persons are still under the building, and this is what we are putting efforts to make sure that we bring them. And you can see that we are not rushing the operations because we want to rescue them alive.
No one has come forward to claim ownership of the collapsed building, which is said to be an extension of a proposed hotel that should not be there in the first place. Earlier in the day, we spoke with an official that insists the FCT Development Control did not give approval for the building.
In the first place, this place is not supposed to be developed because this is a flood place. And whatever they should do here, it should be something that will benefit the entire FHA houses here. FHA has assumed autonomy, and so they approve building plans without consulting the Development Control Department. Ordinarily, they should contact Development Control in every approval. But with this now, the minister has ordered investigation. He has ordered the place should be sealed. He has ordered that we should go back on a round conference table discussion with FHA. We must have to resolve the running battle.
Officials who wouldn't speak on camera said the building collapsed as a result of a swimming pool that was being excavated within the premises. Once again, life is being threatened in a phenomenon that is most often attributed to lack of supervision or enforcement of the required building regulations in most of Nigerian cities. Meanwhile, everyone is watching, hoping the victims will be pulled out alive. Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
A human rights lawyer, Mr. Ken Atwete, has died in circumstances suspected to be an assassination. It was gathered that the lawyer was abducted by unknown gunmen from his home in Port Harcourt at about 8 p.m. yesterday. He was found this morning at the Rumuchiolu community in the River State capital with severe injuries, but died as he was being rushed to the hospital. A family member told journalists that his body has been deposited at a mortuary in Port Harcourt. The River State Police Command is, however, yet to confirm the incident.
Uneasy calm hangs in the air in Omoko community in Alu of Ikwere local government area in River State, as security operatives cordon off the area. A handful of persons are seen talking in low tones around the home of human rights activist Ken Aswete, who was assassinated by unknown gunmen. Gunshot holes at his gate suggest an attack on his home.
They just called me on phone that Ken is dead. I say, how? We couldn't discuss fine. My phone went off from my hand. And that's how I rushed down here to know what is happening. As I came, I've not seen anybody, but I don't know where to get information on what is really happening.
The police in the state, however, had their version of the story.
I can confirm to you, as the police spokesperson, that Barrister Ken Aswete is dead. And his death is attributable to the case of kidnapping.
Although there are conflicting reports about the immediate and remote cause of the attack, the police is optimistic that those behind the crime will be brought to book. Emmanuel Ire, Channels Television News.
The Niger Delta Avengers, a militant group which has carried out a series of attacks on oil and gas installations in the Niger Delta in the last few months, has announced it is holding its fire and stopping hostilities in the region. In a statement on its website addressed to President Muhammadu Buhari, the group said it expected a genuine and positive attitude to restructuring the self-determination and every component unit of Nigeria. The statement by the NDA comes just over a week after the militant group said it was ready for a ceasefire and talks with the government. The group also accused government troops of planning to carry out extrajudicial killings in the Niger Delta in violation of Article 4 of the Geneva Convention with its Operation Crocodile Smiles. In the meantime, troops of the 4th Brigade Nigerian Army involved in the field training exercise nicknamed Crocodile Smile have raided suspected criminal hideouts situated in the creeks in Delta State. The acting director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Usman, says that over 10 suspects were arrested in possession of substance believed to be marijuana. 1 axe, 2 cotton saw and a long iron bender were also recovered in their hideouts. Also, a 75-horsepower speedboat, 30 200 litres plastic drums containing liquid suspected to be illegally refined crude were also found. The suspects and exhibits have been handed over to the Nigeria police at Bomadi for further investigation. There's a restriction order in Jos, the Plateau State capital, for operators of tricycles starting from today. A special military task force set up to monitor security in the state says that the tricycle will no longer be allowed to operate in 24 hours basis. They are only allowed to carry out the activities beginning from 6 a.m. and will stop before midnight.
The central area of Jos, Plateau State, busy as ever. Vehicular movement as well as human traffic. But this movement, particularly that of commercial tricycles, appears to be posing dangers to residents and security operatives, identified as one of the major ways of perpetrating crime in the state. And to stem this, security operatives in Plateau State have been ordered to apprehend any tricycle operating outside the approved period by the authorities.
Based on information we have, and also that some of these keke have become a tool of moving drugs, arms and ammunition, knowingly or unknowingly by some of them. So we decided to put a ban on this keke napep people from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. So once it's 9 p.m., we don't expect to see any keke on route in the plateau here, particularly in Jos Metropolis.
Other measures in addressing security challenges in the state include the recommendation for a visit by the task force to the local government areas and various communities to broker peace between herdsmen and the natives.
We've been able to go around all the local governments, the 17 local governments of Plateau State, where we deploy troops. And beyond that, we've also visited most of the interior areas villages, settlements where we have issues, farm settlements, herdsmen and their farmers, miners, illegal miners particularly. We visited those places with the troops, and I'm happy to tell you that we've been able to establish a cordial relationship between the people, the various communities we met, and the task force.
With the proactive steps being taken by the task force to avoid any major security breach in the state, expectations are high that the crime level in the state will begin to abate.
The Benue State Governor, Mr. Samuel Ortom, has demanded more interagency cooperation among security operatives to bring perpetrators of crime to justice, following the implementation of the stick approach of his amnesty deal. The governor, who said this when he received the Commandant, Zone H of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in Makurdi, said that no economic activity can thrive in the face of mounting security challenges.
For a government that believes in looking outside the box of government, encouraging industry so that we can process our primary product, encouraging micro, small and medium-scale enterprises, encouraging commercial activities, and also encouraging investors to come into the state. All these things cannot thrive if the land is insecure. In the past, we had adopted the carrot approach of our amnesty program.
Rock star and songwriter Bono says that the international humanitarian community is not doing enough to support internally displaced persons living in makeshift shelters in Borno State. Bono, accompanied by Nigerian businessman Aliko Dangote, has been touring camps within Maiduguri, the state capital, where hundreds of thousands of IDPs have found temporary shelter. Governor Kashim Shettima says that the face of humanitarian assistance is changing in recent times, from mere provision of food to construction of homes for the IDPs to restore their dignity.
Paul Hewson, known more as Bono, a United Nations High Commission for Refugees ambassador, is the first internationally renowned celebrity humanitarian to visit internally displaced persons in northeast Nigeria. He is the brain behind a 7 million man campaign championing the cause of victims of insurgency, with special spotlights on women and girls. His co-traveler Aliko Dangote has made the highest donation to IDPs in Borno State to the tune of 2 billion naira. Guided by the on-the-spot assessment tour and interactions with the IDPs and their caregivers, Bono thinks the situation in the camp could have been better handled.
I see what Boko Haram looked like. I hold a malnourished child whose pigmentation of the hair is changing color, and I see what Boko Haram looks like. It's ugly. It's an ugly ideology, and it's taking this beautiful part of the world to really be strong, to fight back against it, and I'm just here to salute and see if I can be useful.
Aliko Dangote, on the other hand, is happy to be part of the solution to the humanitarian crisis and is willing to do more.
And I think it is good if we in Nigeria, the government will have a Marshall Plan for Northeast, because it's not just giving them food or clothing or, making sure that they go to school. We have to restart their lives, they have to really start right from the scratch.
The Borno State government says it is looking inwards to prefer solutions to violent tendencies of the teeming population of unskilled and unemployed youths, insisting that education is the only way.
We are determined to rewrite the history of this part of the world. Education, job creation through agriculture, gender empowerment, and girl child education. Through girl child education, you can fight maternal mortality, infant mortality, BBF, crisis, basic or vaginal fistulae, and a lot of our social ills.
Officials say 2 million people have been displaced from their ancestral homes by the insurgency. Nearly 200,000 out of the displaced population are living in camps within Maiduguri.
In part two, after the break, security forces quell riots at Kuje Medium Security Prison after an outbreak of violence at the facility between inmates and prison officials. That's in a moment.